Welcome to the Premium Mindset, the weekly podcast where homegrown entrepreneurs and business owners Evan Ritchie and Cameron Bodden share the good, the bad, and the ugly of modern entrepreneurship and reveal what really happens behind the scenes of their personal and professional lives. As owners of two of America's fastest growing and most disruptive companies, Coconut Cleaning and Green Mango Pest Control, stay tuned for real stories, struggles, insight, and advice from real entrepreneurs in real time.
What's going on, everyone? I am so excited to talk about today's podcast because it is in an area that I have always tried to focus on as long as I've been in business, and that is employee appreciation. And I wanted to kick the topic off with a few stats that validate the importance of employee appreciation. And that was a study done by Global Force. In 2023, employees were 5 times more likely to feel appreciated, that they were 6 times more likely to invest into their work, 7 times to stay with their employer for at least another year, and organizations with high employee engagement are 21% more profitable. I haven't seen that stat yet. But we're getting there. And so that's just a few stats to emphasize that employee appreciation is extremely important. And I wanted to tee this off to my business partner who just started doing employee appreciation last year.
No, so the key is the 21% more profitable. How do you get people more engaged?
Yeah.
In my opinion, the biggest thing or the greatest thing that you can do, I believe this, we do what we believe.
Yeah.
So if you can help people understand the why behind whatever you're trying to push, whether that's a push in culture or a push to be more profitable, they're getting paid no matter what. So they're not going to have an invested interest unless you help them believe in the same principle.
Yeah. And I think just with the question of how do we get employees more engaged, it has to come, or at least it has to come from the collective whole, because you and I have done things where, your family has some land in different areas of Arizona, and you've said, hey, out of the goodness of my heart, I want to open up those areas, those cabins, and I want to take some people up. And then we put it out there, and then people are like, eh. And then sometimes it works. And so I think employee appreciation, especially how well they're engaged with it, it has to be at least mostly from them as far as what they want and how they want to feel appreciation.
I think that's the biggest question for me. And, at Green Mango, like you said, we really didn't start really putting money behind and an emphasis on culture and employee appreciation. Like we always did the little things to check the box, but we really started probably about 3 years ago of really putting money towards it. And we're now just seeing the fruits of our labor. This was the first year that we had 50% of our technicians decrease. So last year we lost 170 technicians. This year, I think it was 76 year to date. And that's really cool. But what I love and what I've always admired about Coconut is you seem to have that engagement or that buy-in from almost anyone. And when I look around when we have a party, it's always the same people.
Like a
so
Height Farm
maybe
party
did you
that
start
has
with
all
those
the
4
companies.
people, the Andrews, the Davids, the Coles? I don't want to leave anyone. Is there anyone else like
Sherry,
of course. Those 4 people, which are your first 4. So did you make do you think that you tried harder and that's why those people are always staying after and they're engaged? Because I remember a lot of the times you guys your thing was Chili's or Applebee's?
Yeah, Chili's.
You guys would always go to Chili's after a long day and you would just have dinner. Do you believe that's why their engagement is more? And do you feel like even the guy that was just hired 2 months ago is engaged as Andrew or Cole? And if not, why not?
I love the question because I feel like it's the same approach I had with my oldest son. I knew it's not about hey, I know if I invest a lot of time with you, I don't have to with the others. But I knew because I was the youngest child in my family that all my siblings above in some way, shape, or form contributed to raising me. And so I think it's very similar with any entrepreneur and their first few employees is they're going to be your greatest sounding board, and they're going to see the hardest aspect of entrepreneurship. And that's right at the beginning. And if
So
you're not,
you think their buy-in is because they saw what you had to go through.
yeah. And I feel like although I did my best to shelter them from some of the things that I wasn't entirely sure on, or maybe I try to seem like I knew, I feel like overall, as far as the workload and the weight that it put on me, I would just open up and share here and there. And then naturally what happened is I would get back at 6, 7 o'clock and Sherry would still be here at the office.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, hey, what are you doing? She's like, what do you need? I stayed after I cleaned. And then after she did that and I expressed my appreciation, then like Andrew's sticking around and they're all cleaning vans. And so I would clean their vans for them at the end of the day. And they're like, man, if you have time to do that, I have time to clean my own van. And so those first 4 to, I think we still have like the first like 8 employees from 4.5 to 5 years ago. But I really feel like it was, they saw all the work that it took to even get started. And I was very transparent from the beginning on the weight of the business. And so I think they naturally, and obviously it comes from hiring the good people.
Yeah.
But they naturally wanted to carry that weight with me. I feel like you have a few stories where you've seen people that are totally bought in at bigger organizations, and that's inspired you to kind of turn back around and say, what can we do to make sure that our employees are almost unrecruitable? What was that story? I feel it was like, is not Starbucks, but it was the
the Dutch brothers.
Yeah,
The Diamondbacks game. Yeah, I'd love to share that. I'm stuck on this one thing though.
Yeah.
So if the question is how do you get employees more engagement, and your answer was, well, these guys saw me as I was wearing multiple hats.
Yeah.
When you have 10 technicians, how do you help those people see what you went through? Because that's one of the biggest struggles that I have even today. We've been in business for 13 years. You walk into this office, it's almost overwhelming with how many people are here, how many departments there are, how many managers they are. And they don't know. When I tell people, there's a guy that came this morning, you knocked doors for 6 years. Yeah. And I did the CSR work, and I was a router, and we stuffed packets in the evening with my wife. They don't see that. They just walk in and see, boom, it's running. So how do you think, if the name of the game is to help them see the struggle, how do you do that when you're 10, 15, 20 technicians deep? I don't have the answer to that. I want to know what you think.
I feel like to keep people engaged on the overall vision of the company and to keep them engaged with what you're doing and how you kind of remind them where everything came from is doing just that. It's like little brief touches on the history class. And so I think I always made an effort through sales training and through different trainings with everyone to go out of my way to say, hey guys, like this little commission that we're adding, we never had this before. Or,
Yeah.
Hey, we wanted to do reviews with Google. And I used to ask Andrew, I used to ask Sherry to like just work their hardest in getting Google reviews. And we fought tooth and nail for them, but we're going to roll out a little commission for them. So I think it's not necessarily like inundating them with like, oh, Dad's telling a story again, but it's more so just like these little touch points of like, hey guys, like here's why it's so important for me to have the office clean. We came from a little, 10 by 10 room, and we had nothing. And I remember every single thing that we purchased from Sherry's Dyson fan.
Your office is our Hype Farm store now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like your closet over there. So I remember when we were maybe 9 or 10 months deep, and Sherry was so hot back there because it was
There's
like
no AC
June.
then.
Yeah. And we bought her a Dyson fan for $500. And so it's these little things. And I think we had $1,000 in our account.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. And so it's these little gentle reminders of, hey guys, I know that we're kind of just throwing things around here, but I know what everything costs. And so I've done a trading where I put the price tag on everything that they use in the van.
I love that.
And they go and they open it and it's like, okay, the van right there, $37,000. This tool that they're grabbing, $900. They see all these little things. They're like, man. So it's the little, what's the thing you say where people don't, about the inspect versus
people do what you inspect, not what you expect.
Yeah. And so I think having attention to detail for the little things that you appreciate as the small business owner that you've worked hard for, passing that on to them is just simply like, allowing them to feel some of the emotional attachment to inanimate objects. And
I like that, because
helps
it's
with
kind of the
mind.
same principle that your son doesn't care about the dad's tools until they have to buy their own tools. And then all of a sudden it's like, where's my socket? Where's my wrench at? And he wants it perfectly organized and back in the right spot. And that's why a lot of companies, and as I'm saying, I'm like, man, we should probably do a better job at this. If you're going to go work for a big corporation and you plan on climbing the corporate ladder,
Yeah.
they make you spend 6 months to a year in every single department, so you can appreciate what everyone does to bring the company together as a whole.
Yeah.
But the wake up call for me, there's actually a couple. The first one, the story is me going to the Diamondbacks game. And at the time, we were just constantly burning through technicians. We were burning through CSRs. And it was just like, man, what are we doing? Like, what's wrong? So my mind was always in recruiting mode. So I was at a Diamondbacks game. I was in the line at Dutch Brothers, and I could just see this employee. She was taking orders for everybody, and she was just smiling. She was laughing. She was just talking to people, and you could just tell like when people have it and don't have it. And to me, this girl had it. So when I got up to order, I did my order, and I just started to talk to her about work. And then I pitched her on coming to work for Green Mango. But my pitch was centered around how much more money she will make, because we were at this time, we were paying for our inefficiencies. Okay, we don't have a great culture. We're turning average at the time was probably $14 or $15 an hour for a CSR. We're going to pay 16 or 17. And as I was talking to her, and my whole pitch was about how much more money she can make, she basically turned me down, and which is fine. But the thing that really stung was the fact that she said, hey, I make minimum wage at Dutch Brothers, and I'm staying because of the culture. And I was just like, what? So I don't have to pay more than anyone else. I just have to have a great culture. And that changed. Like, that was the beginning process for me. We came back and we're like, hey, what can we do? That's when we got the massage chairs in the back. We did the basketball court. It's not much, but it's a little something, and the guys like it. We invested into the soda machine, and cut like those basic things. Like, that was our first move. And then the other wake up call for me was was it 4 years ago or 3 years ago? We did our holiday party at Main Event.
Yeah.
Was it 3 years ago?
Yeah, one of those, 3 or 4
Anyways,
years ago,
it was probably 3, because it was about around the same time. Green Mango had their award ceremony first, and there was nothing bad about it. Like, people got up, they clapped, they were happy. It was just like your normal company award ceremony, right? Boom. Then we shuffle in Coconut guys into the room. And this isn't a knock on Green Mango, guys. I don't want it. It's from the leadership. It's from me, right? And this is a testament to you and what you've built in employee appreciation. As the Coconut guys came in, instantly you could feel the level of the room raise 100%. And then when people got the awards, it wasn't just like a little golf clap. Like, it was an eruption of excitement and just pure joy that you felt that coworker was so excited for his guy to get, whatever award that he just received. And I was just like, dude, like, I want this. This is everything.
Can I be honest though?
Please.
I feel like
You paid him to do that?
Yeah. Well, no, I feel like I appreciate the compliment.
Now I can't argue with you because of your feelings. Got it.
Yes, that's why I do that. I feel like because I've been in the Coconut environment so long, I take for granted for that. So it's these little compliments from you where you're like, man, I wish I had that at Green Mango, where I appreciate it a little bit more. However, one thing that I've been like, I feel like I've had struggles with, but I am working on it, is employee appreciation needs to be done without expecting anything in return. And I think that's something that I've talked about with you, and I've attempted here at Green Mango a little bit, but I think something that stings with employee appreciation is when you do things thinking that you don't expect anything in return, but then there's zero gratitude for the input that you put in. Right. And I sucked at that because I put so much time into it. You get
like an event, or what do you mean? Or like a gift?
I feel that it's only highlighted when somebody feels slighted. And I feel this inclination to tell them how much I do for them. Maybe they truly were slighted and they're like, hey man, my paycheck was $100 short. no problem. We're going to rectify that. But there is a part of me sometimes, regardless of employee appreciation,
Okay.
because of how much input, where I feel this need to like say, do you know, like, hey, remember when you backed into that mailbox and I paid $800 to, buff out the dent in the car and I didn't make you pay for it?
Super frustrating.
Yeah. And so if you're a small business owner out there, or if you're, an employee, if I could try to speak to those demographics, employee appreciation truly needs to be done without expecting anything in return. It genuinely has to come, because people know when it's just a pizza party. They know that like that was just a box check from the owner or management. We just got a pizza party. No one's really here. If rapport and time isn't being put into the people in between employee appreciation events, nothing will be as appreciated as much as it could be if you actually genuinely invest time into your people. And I felt like that's what has totally reversed it for me, where when I do something, employee appreciation party, or you said you add the ice machine, the soda machine. Employers don't have to do that, but you decided to do it. But if you go so long and people are like, man, it's not the cubed ice. I wanted the cubed ice. Or I wanted the smaller. It's like, dude, I feel like you can't win sometimes with employee appreciation. It's a learning curve for me as an owner, is to any time the topic of employee appreciation is included, I try to take out what I hope would come of it. And I want to make sure that anything I'm doing is genuinely just for the people, not for anything in return.
Yeah. That's why, I don't know, like I'm torn, especially coming into 2024. We spent a lot of money on employee appreciation when we really look at everything that went into it, with all the parties, all the food, all the uniforms, all the like the top golfs that we have. And, we have monthly budgets for our managers to take people out to dinners or lunches. And it adds up. And for me, there's almost a diminishing return, right? What I've thought about is, if you're starting up, you don't have the money to wine and dine, to go do all the fun things. You got to double down on yourself. And that's what you did at Coconut. I'm almost to a point where it's like, do we take away all, I don't know, I'm extreme, but do you take away all that?
Yes, you will.
And make managers double down and have the Evan approach to, hey, there's no money. Sit down and make this person feel appreciated, and don't try and subsidize it by showing them a flashy Topgolf card or a flashy party or whatever it might be that we're doing. I just wonder, I don't want to cut it all off, but I feel like if we trained our people on what you did at Coconut with no money, because that's the thing. And that's what I would tell all business owners out there right now, is that if you don't have the money for the parties, that's okay.
Yeah.
You can still have an amazing culture, because at the end of the day, they just want you. All the parties are for is to get people together, to mix and mingle, to hopefully bring together this family that's around the company. But you can do that without not maybe without any money, but I mean, when you would go to Applebee's or Chili's with 4 people, what are you spending, $100 a month, a couple $100 bucks? Yeah. Everyone should be able to afford that as a startup company, to do that and invest into their culture.
I want to compliment that, or supplement. I want to supplement that, and I want to make you do something. Do you remember what I used to say for how you spell
love? TIME.
Yeah. So it actually all started with a ping pong table. You remember that?
Yeah, you beat me every day on it.
Yeah. It was a ping pong table that I found on OfferUp or Craigslist for $100. We didn't have any money. I put the table there, and then literally I would get back and there'd be a guy's like just holding a paddle to like, do you want to play? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So we would play. And I remember I bought ping pong balls at Dick's, and Dusty's like, would you buy at Dick's for $50? And I'm like, we're out of ping pong balls. I had to get more ping pong balls, and I had to get 2 more paddles. But if you are someone who doesn't have the means.
But I'm saying, even if you do have the means, I would almost scale it back.
Yeah, but okay, if you do have the means and you pull up in a nice lifted truck, or if you have like a nice C8 Corvette, I think people feel that. And so I think there has to be a unique combination to how you approach that topic. If you do have the means, but choose not to because you want your people to place more emphasis on spending time together and better understanding each other, I think it needs to start with you. And so I think what can be difficult for people who might have the means, but they're like, man, we do so much, let's pull it back. No problem. But if it isn't met or countered with some act of, hey, I'm going to spend more time with you guys and just better understand who you are, I think it could flop. The people who have the money to do those little things, and you even do spend time, those people will better understand if you pull it back because of the buy-in they have with you as the leader.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's what happened at Coconut 2 months ago. If we can just get a little open real quick.
Get open, man.
Let me control the narrative here. So Coconut is thriving, of course. But we ran into a little spending problem. You know, Dad's credit card was out with a few people. And our CFO, James, said, guys, you guys spend way too much money on DoorDash. I think you inflate the number. It was around $3,000, $5,000, $7,000 a month. Okay.
It's more than that.
7,700. I don't remember, but the point is, it was a good time. A lot of people had,
people gained weight.
A lot of people gained weight. However, I said, guys, we're going to make some drastic cuts. And the little donuts and bagels in the morning for a sales training, they have to go away for a little bit. And not a single complaint. And I will say that is because the time that was spent, it wasn't just like DoorDashed meals to a meeting that I wasn't present at. It was me there spending time with them. Sometimes.
Coffee, Starbucks.
I don't do Starbucks, by the way. But my point is, just kidding. Love the cookies. And my point is that if you are someone that does have the means, but you really want to experiment what people's buy-in or what the true ROI is of the employee appreciation, it doesn't always have to come in the form of more and of more spending, of more spoofs, of more little vacations. It can simply start with your time. And that any group of people where you pull those things from, if the time is spent and they understand the vision, they're going to be okay with it.
Yeah.
I do look forward to spending more on food though, but they will be okay with it for a time.
Well, I want to close with this because a lot of companies that come and ask for help and we are in the same spot of, hey, how do you scale? At what point do you hire managers? And it was kind of around probably the same time that I was switching the culture. A big part is no one felt appreciated. No one had that time. And that's when I introduced the rule of 7. So the rule of 7 was taken from the Navy SEALs. I forget what book I read.
Jocko Willink,
Was
Extreme
it that
Ownership.
book?
Yeah.
Extreme Ownership. Okay, if the baddest guys are going into the worst case scenario and they say that you can only manage 7 people at a time, you should probably listen to them.
Yeah.
So what we've done and what we've replicated in all the companies as they scaled is that for every 7 employees, you have a manager in place and their job is to spend time with that person, to train him up, but most importantly, I'll call it the Evan Ritchie, spend that time with them and make sure that they're listening. What's going on at home? What's going on in your personal life with your kids? You know, what are all the stresses? How can I help? That's the point and the power of 7. And although we can always be better at that, and reminding the field managers, this is your job, is to take care of those people. Obviously train them up, but if I had to choose what's more important, making sure that that person feels appreciated rather than trained up on the job. Because if people feel that way and they'll come to work, they'll perform a premium service. And that's made a huge impact for us at Green Mango. And I know you've implemented it there at Coconut. And that's what I would say to anyone listening is don't wait too long like I have to have one person over 30 dudes or 20 dudes. It's a nightmare.
How many times have we had people come in, they're like, dude, I manage 300 sales reps. It's like, you don't manage anything. There's no way. But I would say this too. How many times, and maybe this is like a question for another time, but how many times have you been able to have watered down information about the status of an employee because of the leadership in between you and them, that you've been able to help without having to go through all the time spent? So you can randomly send an employee a gift because I say, hey, this person's going through a lot. And then you do something nice for them. But that came from like 2 hours of me sitting down with them, listening to them. And then they're like, man, like all this like information is being relayed and it's being done to appreciate me. And so the rule of 7 has been a fantastic principle that we've lived by at Coconut as well as Green Mango, and the benefits are diverse in receiving from having one manager over at least, or the most 7 people or less. And it's been very effective for us.
Yeah. So don't wait like Coconut did 10 years in to really start emphasizing in the importance of culture. Do it like you've done from the beginning, and it shows through your employee referrals. I mean, I love your stat of really never having to post on Indeed except for the past couple of months. 6 years in business, I don't know another company that's been able to do that. And I strongly believe because it's about the employee retention that you have there and the appreciation that you give them. So good job, man.
Appreciate your people. Feed them.
Feed them.